Well, class, can you believe it? You've done it. You have one more week of Latin. This is your last video recorded class. Yay! I wish it made a sound, but it didn't. Oh well, not cool enough. All right, last video class. You have one more test to take. The capitulum duodecimum test, pensa left, and then you are on summer break when it comes to Latin anyways. I hope you guys are doing well. You've had a good week. I am recording today a little differently. I am celebrating with you. And as I was looking at the syllabus and what we had planned for today, we are doing 2 exercises today, and I thought it would be much easier to do the exercises by doing a screen share. So that's how I'm choosing to record this. I hope it works and I'm not wasting my time. And I hope it goes well for you and I'm not wasting your time. So without further ado, welcome to your class for your final week of Latin 1/2. Woohoo! Okay, so just to give you an idea of what we're going to do today, I'd like to begin by just letting you know that next week, instead of having a video, YouTube video sent to you, I would like to invite each of you, and I think I've heard back from most of you, to a 10 a.m. Thursday morning Zoom call. It won't be a long call, but what we'll do is we'll have a chance to sit down, say hello, see each other, which would be so nice. I miss you guys, and I'm sure it's kind of weird too, feeling like you're kind of just out there doing it on your own. Well, you're not alone. The rest of your class is also doing all of this with you. So we'll just say hello. I'd also really like you to bring any questions that you have from any of the material that we've covered. More than likely, you're not going to have very many. But if you do, be sure to bring those with you, or any passages that you had trouble translating, anything like that, any kind of question that you might have. We'll also take a little time to, and this will be the main part of our time together, we'll talk about Latin 2-2 and what the summer should look like for each person, and you know, just basic things about getting prepared for Latin 2-2. For the most part, just so you know, just like always when we have a break, it's really good for our brains to take a break. But we do kind of give you some thoughts on how to prepare for 2-2. Especially what to think of before you get back, the few weeks before you come back to 2-2. Okay. The other thing I would like to remind each of you is I still haven't quite gotten everyone's Pensa 11 grades yet. So I need to get those. And I did send everybody a quiz with this video. So I'm going to give you the choice. You can either stop now and take that quiz, or you could take it at the end of the video. That would just be up to you, because we are going to kind of go over a lot of the stuff that's in the quiz, just by way of what we're doing in our exercises today. So if you had any trouble this week, it might be a good idea to go through the video first and then take the quiz either tomorrow morning or something like that. So just be sure to get that to me by the end of the day, Friday. So we'll start our day off here with our main lesson by looking at our 5 major objectives for Capitulum 12. And then we'll do exercise 9 and 12 together. I may or may not, depending on how long it goes, I may or may not do the complete exercise. But we'll make sure you have a good idea of what you're doing. Okay, so because we are going all serious now and we are moving into Latin, ta-da! We have moved to Rome. All right, I'm gonna see if I can figure this out. I've been working just to make sure, but I'm gonna share with you um, my screen. All right, I hope that you are seeing me um, up here in the corner here, if you see my cursor, and that you're also seeing my screen. I'm gonna close this out. Okay, so let's take a few minutes and let's go through our main objectives. We had 5, if you remember, we had 5 main objectives for this chapter, for chapter 12. And that's a lot. That's a huge amount of information to have to go out with. So let's make sure. So your first one was this new way of using a dative. That was called the dative of possession. And you're probably going to see some of these in your book pensa and also in your Shearer pensa. So let's take a look at these. So remember we have Mark. So something about Marcus. Una soror est. So to Marcus is one sister. So what would we put here in this blank? We would put the letter O with a macron. Now, I don't have the ability to put a macron in right now, so just make sure yours has one. Not necessarily a mandatory one, but it does have one. So to Marcus is one sister. So in other words, Marcus has one sister. Okay, it's that dative of possession. It belongs to Marcus. So what if we were looking at the next sentence? Something about Julia, duo fratres sunt. So Julia has 2 sisters, or 2 Julia are 2, not sisters, are 2 brothers, So here we would need our dative ending, which is AEI, right? So Marco una soror est, Juliae duo fratres sunt. So hopefully you'll be able to recognize those when you get there. And I've made my screen short so that you only see what I want you to see at a time. Your next major concept that we learned this chapter was on accusative, and this has a fancy long name, but it's really pretty simple. It's just an accusative length. So when you're measuring a length, and it can also be a length of time and space, which you'll learn later in later chapters. But here we mostly were talking about the length of the sword versus the spear, or the height of the walls, right? So remember that that needs to be shown in Latin. They show that in their accusative, okay, case. So here we would need this gladius do something about 2 feet longus est. So what are we going to need here? We're going to need our accusative ending, and 2 is plural, so we would need to say os. And then here, we need the accusative plural, ace, okay? Duos, pedes. Now again, I'm not able to put macrons in without going through a whole bunch of work. So yes, your O and E, for all of you out there who are macron happy, do need a macron there. All right, pilum, sex, something about feet, longum est. So the spear is 6 feet long. So here again, just that part that's showing how long something is in the accusative, okay? This word here, longum, that's actually not, this is not the accusative case. What is that? That is our neuter modifying pilum over here, okay? So this is pedes. So it's just the part that shows how long something is, or how tall, or whatever that would be in your accusative case. Okay, so that was your second concept. Your third one was your third declension, and remember we call them adjectives because they like to keep their eyes, right? Okay, and we'll be looking at those a little more today as we go along. Our second one, or our fourth one, is our fourth declension, nouns. Now, as we're thinking about our fourth declension nouns, we have met, I think we've only met 2 of them. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But that's all I could remember when I was typing this up. So Manus we learned in chapter 11, right? And we learned that this was an exception because most of our fourth declension nouns are what gender? Remember, our even numbered ones are usually masculine versus except our second declension neuter. But remember, we said our odd numbered ones, 1 and 5, are typically feminine. So this one is a weird one because we learned that this was the first fourth that we came across, and it was a feminine, okay? So that is something that you need to remember because when you're writing out its adjectives or anything else like that, you need to keep those in the feminine gender. Okay, so exercitus, on the other hand, was learned this chapter, army. It is not an exception. It is a masculine noun. Now, what I want you to do is take a minute and pause the video, and I want you to chant out loud or write down your fourth declension noun endings. Okay, let's make sure that you know those. You were supposed to know those for your quiz today, so I would assume this is going to be a breeze. Okay, let's go ahead, since you've done those on your own, let's look at them together. Our fourth declension nouns: us, 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 ui, ibis, ibis. Okay, and as you can see, these three here, this one, and this one, are all the same, okay? And they have this required macron over the top, unlike this nominative singular. So these are differentiating themselves from the nominative singular. But the only way to tell whether or not it's nominative plural, accusative plural, or genitive singular is by what? You guys should know the answer to this. It's by the context. All right, so those are your fourth declension nouns. Remember, fourth declension nouns are like first, second, and third declension nouns. They decline according to their own endings, and they come with their own gender. Okay? All right, so there's where our fourths. The fifth and final thing that we are focusing on for this chapter, and again, you guys have done awesome because you've learned all this. Isn't this amazing? Even at the end of this crazy time and being tired at the end of the year, you've been able to learn all of this. So our fifth and final thing we are working on is our comparative adjectives. Okay, and we're going to be working with those again today. All right, so let me expand the screen, and I want you to open up to Exercitium 9, okay, chapter 12, exercise 9. Now, I'm keeping it down here for just a minute because I don't want you to see the answers that I've already typed in for this chart. So if you notice at the top of your chart on exercise 9, you are asked to write in your masculine, feminine, and your neuter third declension adjective endings. Okay, so you can go ahead and take a minute and do that. Pause it if you need to pause the video. I also want you to take a look up here on the directions, okay? Look at these words here: tenuis, fortis, gravis, levis, brevis. All of these are what kind of adjectives? Are they first and second, or are they third? They end with this is ending, okay? And when we first saw them, they came to us looking like for example, brevis came to us looking like brevis, brewe, right, in our vocabulary sheet. This was our masculine feminine ending, is, and then was our neuter ending. Okay, so I think this is a pretty complete list of the third declension adjectives that you have been introduced to. So let's just go over what they mean. Tenuis means thin. Okay, try to say it before I say it. Fortis means strong. Gravis means heavy. Levis means light. And brevis means short. Okay, so we are going to be using these adjectives today, but they're not the only ones. So hopefully you've had enough time to go on ahead and fill in this chart. Okay. Now, what we're going to be doing, and if you need to, you can have your first and second declension adjective sheet out, the one with the chameleon that we first did at the very beginning of the year. You can feel free to have that one out or just use it from memory. Okay. So let's take a look at number 1. So this one says Gladius Germanorum long, so something about long and heavy, is long and heavy. So the sword of the Germans is long and heavy. So long and heavy is telling us about what noun? The sword. Okay. Now the sword, and actually I want to be in a different color. Let's do a dark red and see how that works. So here is our, this one is in the nominative, masculine, and the singular. Okay, that was a little too far over. It'll take me a second to get used to doing this. Okay, nominative, masculine, singular, gladius is. So over here, when we're writing in our answer, we're going to need to come up here. Here's the masculine, here's the nominative, here's the singular, okay? But this is our, which chart? This is our third declension adjectives, right? Is longus aum going to be up here? No, it's not. So this one, we're going to need longus, right? Let's see, maybe I should have that bolded. I don't really know. Longus, right? And then, but this one is saying it's heavy. This is one of our third declension adjectives. So we're going to use this ending here. Okay? Gravis. So gladius Germanorum longus et gravis est. All right, let's take a look at the next one, number 2. Foot soldiers, pedites, ferrunt. So they carry, what do they carry? They carry long and heavy gladios. So long and heavy is modifying which word? It's modifying gladios, right? Okay, let's try to figure out what gladios is in our accusative case, right? And what else do we know about it? Let's go with case, gender, and number. It is masculine and it is plural this time. So for this one, we know it's going to be the same, longus, or longos. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. And then here, we're going to go with accusative, masculine, plural. And again, I do not have macrons. Actually, I could just copy it, couldn't I? I could just copy it and paste it here. Then we have our macrons. Yay, everybody's happy. All right, good. These are not hard at this point. All right. Germani pila long ferrant. So the Germans carry a what? They carry long pila, long spears. So pila here is in what case? Well, they're carrying it, so it is the accusative. They're the direct objects. This one is not masculine, like the gladios. This one is neuter, and it's plural. Okay, so if we come down here, what are we going to put here? It's going to be our us aum, right? And so this one would be longa. How about this one? The sacus sairi. And then what are we going to have here? So the sack of Syra is heavy, or Cyrus. I'm sorry, not Syra. Of Cyrus is heavy. So heavy is telling us more about what? The sacus Our sacus is in our nominative, masculine singular. So here, we're going to come up here, and we need this one, right? Okay. Let's take a look at number 5. The viri Romani pecunios something sunt. So Roman men are what? This was just pecuniosus aum. So it's modifying men here. We have nominative, masculine, plural. So here we're just putting, I'm going to just steal from this so I can keep my macron. But it's not actually this dative, so don't be tricked. Pecuniosi, like weary. I guess I could have stolen from weary, then it wouldn't have been confusing. Oh well, you guys are smart. Okay, I'm actually going to erase these so that I can keep seeing my chart as we're going. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Ornamenta albini polk something sunt. Now we know that polk is what number adjective? It's a first and second, right? It's telling us about ornamenta, which we already know is a what? This one is nominative. And is it masculine, feminine, or neuter? It's neuter and it's plural. Okay, so here we just know it's going to look the same as this one. Pulcra. How about the next one? Pilum Germanorum grau est. So the spear of the Germans is heavy. So here, spear is in the neuter. Okay, so we have right above it what we have. We have nominative, neuter, singular. So what do we need here? We're going to need the nominative, neuter, singular. Okay. Pilum Romanum bre. So something about short and light. So the spear, the Roman spear is short and light. So pilum is, again, the same as it was right here. A nominative, neuter, singular, and I hope you're writing all this in, okay? Don't skip these steps because it makes a really big difference in the long run. All right, is short and light. So short and light, I started to say the ending, is one of these third declension adjectives, right? So we want the neuter, nominative, singular. So I'm going to come down here, brewe, blewe. Okay, number 9. Vocabulum dux. So the word dux is short. So this is another very easy one. Why don't you see if you can figure it out? What should you have there? Okay, if you didn't have enough time, you can always pause it. You should have the same thing because, right, we're doing the same thing that we did up here. We're doing the same thing here. Okay. All right, let's erase these and do the next one. Okay, oops, we did that one already. Let's go with 10. All right, so the light sword and the light spilum, or pilum, sorry. So we have two different ones here. What do we have here? Here we have the nominative masculine, right, singular. Here, for pilum, we don't have nominative masculine singular, we have nominative neuter singular. Okay, so the difference is this masculine versus neuter. Both of these, light, are both the same word, and they're going to come from this third declension adjective chart. So we would just put in here I'm sorry, put that in the wrong spot. We would have le wis here, and here we're going to take the neuter le we. Okay, nice and simple if you work it out. You get confused if you don't think about what word your adjective is modifying and figure out the different parts and pieces. Okay, so Aemilius fährt, Aemilius carries the direct object, right? Gladium, the sword. What kind of sword? The light sword and a light pilum. So the only difference from number 10 to number 11 is what? The only difference is that we are working in the accusative case. Oops, sorry, I want to put that in red. We're working in the accusative case. The first one is still masculine and it's still singular, just like it was up here. And this one is still in the accusative case, and this one is neuter singular, okay? Let's move it over. There we go. So this one, we're going to be pulling from here. Lewem. And this one, neuter law, that nominative and accusative are the same. Let's see, copy. And we will paste that down there. Okay. All right, how about this one? Now we're going to start to get a little more complicated. Aemilius pugnat, so he fights, gladio et pilo, so a light sword and a light spear. What are we looking at with this gladio here and this pilo? Do you remember what case that is and what use is it? Here, this is an ablative of means, okay? So remember that something being used, no prep allowed, that's all we're looking at here, okay? So we have an ablative, and gladius is still masculine, it always is, right? And this is in the singular. If we move on over, this one's in the ablative, but this one's not masculine, it's neuter, and it's singular. Okay, so our adjective has to modify in case, number, and gender. So we have ablative here, and we have ablative neuter, which happen to be the same thing here. Okay, let's look at this one. Number 13. Gladii, something about light, et pila, something about light, are. Okay, arms of the foot soldier, or weapons of the foot soldier. So here we have a plural, but what case are we in? We are still in nominative, right? Because it's a subject. It's masculine, they're always masculine there, and plural. The next one, pila, is also part of the subject. We have two subjects, the swords and the spears. Nominative, neuter, plural. So we're going to go with this one. And yeah. All right. How many more do we have? We only have 3 more. I think you've got the idea. So I'm going to go on ahead and stop there. And I would like you to go through these, the rest of these on your own, and see if you can also write out on top what they are, their case, number, and gender, because that's what you need to know, right? For an adjective, they modify their nouns in case, number, and gender. So try to go on ahead and do those 3 yourself. Now, this exercise is one of the exercises that's super, super, super important. So if you were having trouble figuring these out before I was writing the answer down, I'm actually sending an extra copy. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Right now, you should be doing the copy that I sent out. I didn't say that right at the beginning, but I'll make sure to emphasize that in the email. I definitely want you to, excuse me. I definitely would like you to do this exercise on your own, apart from me and apart from this video, and make sure that you really can do it yourself, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at exercise 12. Now I'm going to move this down to the next page. And before we move too far, this is your comparative adjectives for exercise 12. So just use the sheet that I printed out, or that I sent to you, that your mom hopefully printed out for you. Don't write in your book yet, because you're going to do this one on your own. But exercise 12 is looking at your comparative adjectives. Now, comparative adjectives are so much easier than your third declension adjectives and your first and second declension adjectives, because your comparative adjectives only use the chart you make. You don't have to flip back and forth two different charts. All right. So what I want you to do is go on ahead and write in your comparative adjective endings. So you need to pause it and write those in. Okay, so hopefully you've written those in. Let's go on ahead and make sure that everything you wrote in was correct. So you should have written in ior, iores, iorem, iores, ioris, iorum, iori, ioribus, iore, ioribus. Okay, so if you notice, you have eor plus your ace, ace, is, e, ibis, ibis, which should be very, very familiar because of your third declension nouns. Okay, over on your neuter side, it'll look a little different. You have ius, iora, ius, iora, ioris, iorum, iori, ioribus, iore, ioribus. Okay, so let's take a look at this next exercise. So here we have, in our first sentence, we have quintus gra, so something about heavy quintus, van Marcus. So we're trying to do this comparative thing. So each one, we're going to go on ahead and just assume that each blank is going to need an at the end. When you're reading it, you're not going to know that necessarily without looking at the ending. But so Quintus is heavier than Marcus. So we're talking about Quintus is the one that's heavier. So we're actually modifying Quintus here. Okay, so for Quintus, he is in the nominative, masculine, of course, because he's a boy, singular. So right now we're going to need the nominative, masculine, singular to go in here. Let's take a look at your next sentence. Gladius, I don't know why that's still there. Go away. Go away. It doesn't like me. All right. So Gladius Germanorum, so something about the sword of Germans, and we know this is going to be, is longer and heavier than of the Romans. Okay, so again, we're talking about gladius, which just happens to be the same as this. So I'm going to just copy and paste this down here. So nominative masculine singular, and we know for nominative masculine singular, we're going to use eor. And, oh, yes, what else? Gravior. Did you notice something? This is so cool. I love this about comparative adjectives. Did you notice that longus is a second declension adjective, or first and second declension adjective, and this one is a third declension adjective, and that they're using the same ending? Oh, my arms just blew off. Isn't that funny? Okay. Anyways, that's so cool. It makes it so easy, doesn't it? We don't have to flip back and forth in our head, unlike we did on the exercise 9, right? Okay, so let's go to number 3. The swords of the foot soldier are lighter and, shorter and lighter than of the horsemen. Okay. So here we have swords. So this one, this is still the subject. So nominative, it's masculine, and it's plural this time. So we're just going to look up here, take this, plop, and plop. Isn't that easy? So much easier than our adjective, our third declension adjectives and our first and second declension adjectives. Okay. Pila Germanorum, so the spears of the Germans, we go to sunt, are longer and heavier than ours. All right, so pila here, this is our subject again, so nominative, it's neuter and it's plural. So this time, we're coming over here, iora. Let's see if I can get it in the right spot. There we go. Iora, iora. Okay. I'm just going to double check because I haven't been going and sometimes my brain works funny. Let me just make sure I've got all my answers right on here. Okay, good. All right. The Germans, the German men or the German people, Germani homines. Do you remember the adjective barbarous? They're barbaric, they're barbarians. So in this one, we're going to have to use barbaric. So the German humans or the German people or men are more barbaric than the Gauls. Okay, so here we have what we're looking at. So we need to go with nominative, and this is masculine, plural. So literally we just come right on up here, whoop, copy, and going ahead and paste it right down there. Okay, I'm guessing that these make a lot of sense to you and you are saying, please move on. This is so easy for me. Maybe you're not, and that's okay too. I am going to skip on down though. You can go on ahead and do 6, 7, 8, and 9. You can just pause the video and do those. Check them to your mom. And let's look at number 10. Okay. So the lion is more fierce than the dog. The lion and the wolf are more fierce than sheep. This is not hard. Isn't any necessarily harder, it's just longer. So we're going to do this one, nominative, and it's masculine and singular here. If we scoot on down to the lion and the lupus, now we're just in nominative, masculine, plural. Okay, so we're up here, ior, and here we are in the plural, iores. All right. Okay, number 11. Pilum Germanum gra something est, quam Romanum. Okay, so the spear, the German spear, is heavier than the Roman spear. We could supply the word. So in this one, we're looking at the nominative, neuter, singular. So if we come up here, nominative, neuter, singular, bloop, and we've got it. Let me see if there are any more that I feel like would be really helpful to, yeah, let's go down to number 16. So I'm going to go ahead and erase these. The biggest trick with these is just to figure out what noun your adjective is modifying. So let's go down to 16 and let's take a look at that, okay? So Aemilius, and then here's our main verb, fährt. Well, it's our only verb. Aemilius fährt, Aemilius carries the gladium, a light sword and a light spear. Oh wait, I'm sorry, we're on lighter. Let me just start over. Aemilius carries a lighter sword and a lighter spear than the enemy, which is good, right? Because then he can wield it around faster, and poor Marcus Quintus and Julia, who have never met their uncle, won't lose the uncle they've never met, right? Hopefully. All right. So here we have Aemilius is our subject. Our verb is fert. So what is gladium? Gladium is the thing he's carrying. It's in the accusative case. It is our direct object. Now this one, sorry, let me scoot it down a little bit, is an accusative, singular, and it's masculine. If we move down here, this one is also in the accusative case. Accusative because he's carrying it, right? Accusative, singular, and neuter for this one. All right, so accusative, singular, masculine. Iorem, I'm sorry, iorem, and ius. Okay, let's try the next one. We'll just do these last two together. Aemilius pugnat, so Aemilius fights, and then we have again this gladio. So how are we going to translate that? With a lighter sword than the enemy. This is an ablative of means, right? I hope you remembered that one. And I didn't spoil it for you by telling you too soon. Ablative, masculine, singular. Let's move up here. Ablative, masculine, singular. And we will punch it in. All right. Nice. We're doing well. Last one. Romani milites gladios, something about light, et pila, something about light again, ferant, quam Germani. So the Roman soldiers, ferant, so Roman soldiers is our subject, ferant is our verb. What do they carry? They carry gladios et pila. So we have two direct objects here. These are both in the accusative. Gladios is masculine and it's plural. Pila is the accusative. It's neuter and it's plural. So here we're going to need accusative, masculine, plural. And here we're going to need neuter, accusative, plural. Okay. I hope that this has made sense to you. I'm going to stop screen sharing here. Pull me back up into Rome. All right, fine people. I hope that that exercise went well. You do need to repeat it again tomorrow. For the rest of the week, let's see. All you're doing is these exercises, your practice pensa in the book and your Shearer pensa. And then guess what? We're going to meet on Thursday and say a big hurrah, and I'll probably blow this again, right? And maybe if you have some, you can join me with those. I don't know. And we'll talk about the summer. So well done. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll be seeing you in person, quote unquote, next week. Bye.